Hi, this is Vernon. I'm still talking about chasing time travelers. So here's the Mayan map of southern Europe on the right, and here's a regular map, contemporary map on the left. And I was just talking about the temple at France called the Temple of the Warriors. But we'll make our way to the other countries in a moment. So there's the temple that represents France. Those are the German soldiers, in my opinion. There are 300 of those guys on the north coast, on the east coast, the Atlantic coast of France. I think it's a World War II reference. One reason I think that is because these guys look European, they don't look Mayan, and Mayas don't have facial hair like you see the guy on the right. Um, his face is the second tier from the bottom. You can see that he's got a mustache, at least what looks like a mustache to me. But their facial features, those guys just don't look Mayan. And as I mentioned, Hirth and Pillsbury said that the murals in what I call the France Temple show ethnic targeting. They said that the images show them seizing one ethnic group and dragging them off into captivity and leaving one else alone who went about their daily tasks. And then some warriors sailed in from the west and got involved in the conflict. I think they're talking about the U.S. Remember, this is all these images were made 1,000 years ago. I think they are, I don't think it's Mayan prophets or anything like that. I think it's time travelers and with at least some Americans in there. So that's what this whole thesis is about. My intention is to provide evidence of time travel. So I guess the last thing I'll repeat from the prior discussion from number 8 is I think when we see guys who look like this, well, him particularly, this guy represents a soldier, a modern day soldier. He's got a dome-shaped hat, a backpack, a stick that produces smoke. When Hirth and Pillsbury looked at these images, they said, well, this guy is a salesman, and they said these guys were salesmen who wandered into a war zone. I think they were not salesmen. I think they were soldiers who created the war zone. When you head to the southern tip of France, the border is the Pyrenees Mountains, and according to my theory, if you look at the image on the left, we see southern France. So the image on the left, the right side of the image on the left, we see the southern border of France, and then we see a gap through what would be the Pyrenees Mountains, the border between France and Iberia, which is Spain and Portugal, and then on the left we have Iberia. So on the right image, I'm trying to figure out why the Mayas would put a gap instead of a little mountain range there. But it's easier to put a gap that represents the mountain range. So um, maybe they're talking about Roland's breach in each case, Roland's breach for real and a replica of it. If you follow that breach, if you follow the Pyrenees Mountains, let's see, that's southeast across the Mediterranean Sea, or at least across part of it, you'll get to the southwest corner of Corsica, and that's where Napoleon was born. And similarly, if you follow that gap that you see on the Mayan map, that same angle, you're going to reach this pillar. I've seen a lot of Chichen Itza and many pillars there. This is the only standalone pillar, and it's got 3 soldiers on it. Let's see, starting from the top on the left image, starting from the top tier, 1, 2, 3, 4, no, 3. It's the 3rd tier down. That's you can see the face. It's got a long nose. He's looking to our left, and you can see his war feathers on the right. So it's showing us showing us at least three soldiers. No, it's actually three soldiers and some other guy who's not a soldier on this pillar. So one guy on each of the four sides. And my theory is that that represents where Napoleon was from, and then Napoleon first, second, third. Let's talk about blue skin in France. So, according to Mayan anthropologists and historians, the the Mayan priests used to capture people, take off all their clothes, paint at least for the men anyway, paint them blue, and then chop their hearts out, and presumably held them up. I presume they held them up to the sky like a prayer or something. So let's talk about that. The only place they did that, the only temple where the Mayas did that, according to a Mayan I spoke to, and according to an historian whose name I don't recall, they only did that at the Temple of the Warriors, which, according to my theory, represents France. Which raises the question: were there some naked blue men, fighting France? The answer is yes. The Gaelic soldiers used to take off all their clothes, paint themselves in what's called woad blue, WOAD, paint themselves blue, and attack the French. And out of that lineage came Robert the Bruce. We call him Braveheart. And Robert the Bruce specified in his will that after he dies, his heart is to be removed from his body and carried into battle to inspire future soldiers. So a lot of these things, there's like a similar kind of story. Let's talk Italy, Sicily, and PVB. So there's Italy on the right, in the map, and then the real Italy on the left side of the picture. Right around Rome, they put some cave thing, and so that's it for part 9. Thank you for listening.